And welcome to the podcast, guys, with Rob and Nando. We have a very interesting reaction video for you tonight. So before we get into it, guys, do you want the surprise or not? Get us to 1,000 subscribers so you can get that surprise to you sooner rather than later. And now let's get into that reaction video.
Women need to start making the first move. If anyone wants to be in a relationship, that's absolutely what has to happen. It just has to happen. Guys, in the comments, back me up on this. We have told men for years that their masculinity is toxic. Some men, as they got interested in dating, that's literally all they know, is to stay away from women, is to not bother them, and definitely don't approach them. So there is nothing wrong with a woman approaching a man. That shows confidence. And you know what? I don't even know if this stat is true. I didn't do much research into this, but I did see that 86% of women who make the first move end up married. So, I mean, come on, that's pretty good. I mean, I don't even care if that's not even a true statistic. Hell, let's run with that. But guys, back me up in the comments. Say, yeah, you would love that. Or women say, yeah, I made the first move and I'm now engaged, married, whatever. I'm telling you, that's just the way it's got to be. You don't have to like it. I mean, I'm sure guys didn't like when they were being called, when their masculinity, when their whole being was called toxic. They didn't like that. So start making the first move. And again, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like having to make the first move. You could still have a traditional relationship after that. This is just getting you in a damn relationship. And as far as, you know, not liking things, I do things every day that I don't like to do, but it makes me a better person, gets me to my goals. So these are just facts, okay? Women, make the first move.
All right, so there's a lot to open up there. Just to recap, pretty much what she said, women need to start making the first move to be able to get into a relationship. Men have been told for years that their masculinity is toxic. Men generally stay away from women. They try not to bother them. They don't approach them at all, which is true. There's nothing wrong with women approaching men. It shows confidence. And I don't know if this statistic is true, but about 86% of women that are making the first move end up either married or engaged or whatnot. She wants guys to back them up, or women to say if they've been successful getting married or getting into a relationship or engaged by making the first move. And they don't have to like it, but at least it's a foot in the door. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that women should make that first move? Because I'm sure a lot of women out there are wondering.
If you asked me this question 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I would have said absolutely not, right? Because traditionally it's always been men cold approach women, you flirt, see if you like each other, you take it from there, right? It's always been that way. However, dating has gotten, as everyone knows already, very strange. We are in some very strange times right now. The reality is most guys now don't want to cold approach for numerous reasons. Rejection, fear of embarrassment. They don't want to be, called a harasser or something. They don't want to get kicked out of that bar or that club or that they're at, because there's just like, unfortunately, the social norms have changed. And now it went from men approaching women being a socially acceptable, masculine, normal behavior to borderline harassment. That's where we are as a society today. So do I think women should approach men? I think it's gotten to a point where they're going to have to. I think women honestly created this problem. Okay. You scared men away. You shunned them away. Men are now backed into their corner. So to get this kind of ball rolling again, I think it's gotten to that point where women are going to have to start approaching.
I agree. I mean, women have to make the first move because guys want to make the first move, but they don't know if they should be making the first move. They don't know what signs they're getting from you. They're not mind readers. Men are mind readers. I sure am not. I'm sure you're not either. We need to know that you want us to approach you. And most women don't give that impression. They kind of give the impression of, well, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to be creeped out. I don't want to be possibly harassed. So there's a lot of things to really figure out there. Instead of men having to figure it out, why don't women go up to a guy and start having a conversation? Maybe not necessarily ask him out, but at least start something where he can feel comfortable asking her out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. You know, look, I think both men and women can agree that you can only do something so many times and have a bad experience, or do something so many times and fail before you say, okay, I'm not doing this no more. And that's where men are now with cold approaching. They just have given up on it because of lack of results. It's gotten really awkward. What you said it perfectly. Women are kind of standoffish now. They're not really approachable. They act kind of weird. Like, when you're in a public setting, like, you can't really tell that easily anymore. Is the woman attracted or not? Mixed signals. She kind of looks at you, looks away. So as a man, you're going to say, like, should I risk walking up to her and, like, embarrassing myself, or, like, possibly pissing her off? You know, there's a variety of different ways it could go wrong, right? And of course, there is a small chance that it'll go well, but, like, the risk is, like, all on the table, and that's what men are thinking about when they're considering approaching a woman. So, yeah, I mean, I think I never thought I'd say it, but I think that's where we are now. Is I think the next step is for women to approach men, and it's not because I think women should, like, lead the relationship. It's just that part that they have to start, because by approaching a man and at least conveying interest verbally, physically, you now just gave him the go, like, okay, she is interested, and from that point forward, it should be up to the man. It's really just that beginning. Like, the woman, all she really has to do, I'm not saying she has to do a whole song and dance, just, like, go up to the guy, show interest, and then that's enough for the guy to take over.
You covered some aspects of it, but is there a main reason why men may be afraid to ask women out?
I think the number one reason is just rejection and fear of embarrassment.
Yeah, I can see that. It's guys going up to women and feeling let down, and men are tired of being let down. You know, they put the effort. There's guys out there don't want to put the effort anymore. They don't want to try anymore. Who can blame them, right? They've been trying all this time. They've been working on making themselves better all this time, making as much money as possible. There's guys that are hitting the gym and dressing up good and smell good, and they're confident, and they have all the bells and whistles. But that one part, that's the one part that's missing, is being able to confidently approach women, because they don't know what the reaction, what the response is going to be. And who can blame them?
And you know, it's funny, because I know women will hear this and say, like, oh, well, a confident man would approach a woman. I don't even believe at this point this is a lack of confidence issue. I think this is more of, like, a fear of, like, if this goes wrong, this can go really bad issue. You know what I mean? Even like you said, even if you're a semi-decent looking guy, you work out, you are confident in your ability to talk and, you know, approach, you're still going to have that fear, because I'm telling you, like, nowadays, I don't know at what point in time this started, but we're definitely at that point where a lot of men are just not approaching anymore, because it's just extremely, like, intimidating. You're thinking all the things that could go wrong. Women in general are kind of just standoffish in general nowadays. And then you have, I'm not going to name them, but you have different types of movements that kind of, like, punish men and kind of shine a bad light on them. So I think men have been kind of, like, scared away.
It's kind of like if you put a man and a woman across from each other, it's kind of like a stare down. Who's going to ask each other out first? Is the man going to try, or is the woman going to come out up to him and ask him out? Or at least, again, spark some sort of conversation, maybe some sort of icebreaker, say hello, what's going on? And then maybe the guy will get the message, okay, let me try to take this further. Let me lead the way, and eventually ask her out, ask her on a date. For the women that don't like asking men out, because I know out there that there's more women than not that prefer not to ask men out. Most women prefer not to ask men out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's
agreed.
pretty much what I'm saying. For those women, why should they ask men out? Why should they do it? Why don't they think they feel the need to ask men out?
There's a few reasons. Number one, just understand that as a woman, the chances that a guy's going to come up to you in a bar or a restaurant or any public setting is really small nowadays. It used to be the norm. Guys have been kind of punished for it in many different ways. They've kind of backed away from it. That's number one. Number two, you could be possibly missing out on a very good connection, and you're going to have to go up to him now this time because, like I just said a moment ago, guys are no longer cold approaching because it's just like it's risky, and I don't blame guys at all, honestly, for not wanting to do it. Plus, let's not forget, a lot of this has transitioned into online where people feel more comfortable DMing first or like going on Tinder or something like that. But we're talking about like in-person approaching.
Do you see that men prefer women to make the first move so they know how to go from there?
At this point, 100%. I think that's, like you said, it's like that's the one thing a lot of guys are hung up on. And I mean, look, let's just make it very simple. If you're out at a bar, if the woman at least walks up to you and starts talking to you, that in itself right there is enough to convey interest, and then the guy could take over from there. I'm not saying that she needs to like do God knows what and like buy him a drink and say, "Oh, I like you and I found you attractive." It doesn't have to even be that crazy. Just by even walking up to the guy and starting to talk to him, in my eyes, I think that's enough of an indicator of interest where the guy's going to go, "Okay, she is interested." Boom, take over from there.
I agree. I think guys are going to be very receptive to that. They're going to be very surprised, and they're going to be able to move forward by knowing that, okay, this woman likes me. Let me go ahead and do what I usually do. Let me shine. Let me show my confidence. And now we're Gucci. But if men don't know, that's where the stare down, as I was saying before, between men and women go, well, who's going to ask each other out first? Should, as a man, I take the lead as I'm supposed to because I'm the guy, I'm the leader, go up to a woman, ask her out or start a conversation, give an icebreaker, make a joke, whatever it is. But then if she reacts where she creates some trouble for me, then I'm screwed. So I definitely think that women will have a better success rate with relationships when it comes to asking men out first.
I'll tell you what changed from like, let's just call it 10 years ago till now. 10 years ago, if you as a man cold approached a woman in a bar, restaurant, whatever, the worst possible case scenario is that she would just reject you. No, thank you. I have a boyfriend. Boom, rejected. Or, sorry, I'm not interested. Rejected. And that was the worst thing that could happen. So it wasn't really all that intimidating. You could approach 5 people in one night and you could maybe get four no's and 1 yes. But that's the worst thing on your mind was like, you'll get rejected. Whatever. Nowadays, the rejection part is actually the least of your worries. You're more worried about the girl getting offended, flipping out. There's all different types of movements now. I'm not going to get into them. That's an episode in itself where they're now like putting guys on blast. You know what I mean? On social media, women are accusing guys of all different types of stuff. And there's a lot of risk in it for guys because as a man, you don't want to like lose your job or lose your, maybe you're a student, get kicked out of a school. You don't want to have any type of criminal charges or you don't want to go to court. There's a variety of different things that could go wrong, but there's just too much risk involved nowadays. And as a man, most guys are just not even going to take the risk.
It makes sense. That's pretty much what you're saying there. Guys don't want to take the risk because does the consequences seem to outweigh the success of the whole thing?
It's no longer worth it. Yeah.
So do women have a better opportunity at a relationship, at a successful relationship, if they are the ones to ask men out, approach men, and start it up?
100%. And think about it. By a woman approaching a man, it kind of like kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Because number 1, you just started the interaction. 2, he now knows that you are interested. And 3, we'll throw this in there, you just broke the ice. Like the hardest part of the whole interaction, any kind of like uncertainty or awkwardness or what have you, it's out of the way. It's that initial minute or 2 of the conversation where it's pretty much the hardest part, right? Approaching, not being sure if she wants you to approach her. Once you approach the man and start a conversation, The rest is pretty much easy peasy. He can now do his thing that he would normally do. You know, so I think by women approaching guys, you're doing the hardest part, and you're basically conveying that you're interested. Not saying that you necessarily want to like marry the guy the next day or date him or whatever, but at least you're conveying that you're at least physically attracted to him and you want to talk to him and go from there.
It avoids the cheesy pickup lines. It avoids the bullshit.
And look, let's just call it for what it is. Women complain, like I've seen it on social media a million times. The guy's a creep. Look, I'm even seeing videos now where women are even like, they film themselves at the gym. They have these tight pants on where you could see their entire ass. They're bending over doing squats, and then they put some guy on blast because he looked over her at the gym. And like, you have to understand, like, this is extremely embarrassing and risky because this poor guy is just like sitting in the corner doing curls or like sitting on some machine. I go to the gym all the time. I glance at everyone in the gym. I'm not staring at them. You kind of scan the room. So these women are even putting guys on blast. Forget approaching. They're putting guys on blast just for even looking at them. How the hell you expect guys to approach?
It's not illegal to look, so people should cut that shit out. Number one. Number two, we're guys, and women should want guys to look, because if they want to get interest from men have to look. This
is one of those
common
toxic
sense.
things about women that I really don't understand. You dress provocatively on purpose. Let's just call it what it is. You don't go to the gym with those tight ass, pink Lululemons on where you could see your entire contour of your ass, and then you got that tight bra on, your tits are out. You can't tell me that you're not wearing that on purpose. Or when you go out at night and you have a short skirt on, or like you're showing skin, you're doing that on purpose. So the fact that women dress provocatively but then complain or have backlash when guys look at them, or it makes no sense. But again, all of this contributes to why men just gave up on approaching, because there's that risk that like you're going to get put on blast, flipped out on, she's going to go running to the bouncer, or like you just get embarrassed,
So we can agree that most men are not trying anymore.
Most men aren't going to try anymore. I would say the only exception, which we've covered many times, I think if like the top tier guys that know 100%, like they could just give two shits because they know they have 20 girls lined up, they're going to just approach whoever they want, because I think at that point they're not even going to care. But I mean, I'm talking about a vast majority of the average men.
Women complain that, well, men don't take relationships seriously, or men don't want to commit, blah, blah, blah. Are men afraid of commitment? Do men want to commit to a relationship that they know or think they know that the relationship might not last long?
It's funny because I've heard women say that men have commitment issues and this and that. Honestly speaking, I don't think men have any issues with committing to a woman. That's not really the sole problem. The problem is that men know also that women are very flaky. They cheat. They have 5 guys in the background. They're not loyal. Some of them are mentally unstable. I just call it for what it is. So I don't believe that men really truly have commitment issues. I just think men see how women are nowadays, and you're gonna adjust accordingly. I don't blame men if for any guys that like don't want to get into like serious long-term commitment, or especially marriage. I don't blame them at all, because look how women are nowadays.
The risks outweigh the reward and the benefits.
Yep.
So for women to say men are afraid of commitment, they're just afraid of the consequences if they commit. They're afraid that if they put all their eggs in one basket with that particular woman, that she's going to basically crack all those eggs, ruin everything, ruin his life, and then what? He's going to have to start again, try to go after another woman. Guys rather not deal with it. Guys rather not commit. Guys rather have peace. Guys rather live their life and enjoy their freedom. Guys rather come home and not hear someone bickering in their ear about leaving the toilet seat up, or not taking out the trash, or not cleaning up his room. Guys can handle themselves, right? The guys have no problem dealing with taking care of themselves. Women judge the way guys go about their life, and guys are fine with it, but guys don't want to deal with that headache. That's why the commitment, that's part of the reason why the commitment's not there on the men's side, which we get.
She mentioned an interesting stat that, again, we haven't really looked into it ourselves, but she mentioned that 86% of women that approach men end up having long-term relationships. I don't know if it's true or not. We have to fact check it, but I could completely see that being true because, like I said, think about it, right? If a woman approaches you and you find her attractive, a majority of the work right there is already done because the rest is just hanging out and, going on a couple dates or whatever, going to her house, she goes to your house. The rest is like set in stone. Like it's you're naturally going to know what to do. Even if you're a guy that lacks dating experience, whether you're experienced or not, at that point you're going to kind of know what to do. It's that initial interaction that men are kind of backing away from.
Yeah, again, like I said before, men aren't mind readers. We're not some psychic figuring out what signs you're giving, what signals, what looks, how many times you blink, how many times you play with your hair, you move your eyebrow, or whatever the case is. Guys don't care about that garbage, right? Guys want to know that you as women are into him. If they know that you're into him, it's going to be a piece of cake. He's going to probably end up approaching you once he has that idea. Maybe you're staring at him for a while and smiling. I think that's a great way to have a guy come up to you and approach you. It's just that simple. But women don't want to make it simple. They want to make it this experiment, this project, so complicated. But most women don't want complicated relationships. Most women don't want complicated shit. But you make it complicated.
I was just going to say, I know that women are going to see this and hear it and say, this guy's absolutely crazy. The woman in this video is crazy. I'm not approaching no man. That's a man's job. I agree with you. It is a man's job. But remember, women have created this problem. Literally, you have created this problem. So you don't have the right to complain about it because this is something that women have caused. You wanted to penalize guys. You wanted to call them creeps. You wanted to put them on blast on social media. You wanted to make fun of them or what have you. This is the end result. Congratulations, you win. Now you have to approach men if you want to have, more successful relationships and actually meet somebody that you can have a real relationship with. Because look, the fuck boy is going to approach you at the club. He'll smash you at the hotel room, but that's about as far as it's going to go. So we're specifically talking to the women that are actually looking for a legit relationship. If that's what you're looking for, I highly suggest. And even if you think we're crazy, just try it. Try approaching a couple guys and just test it out. You'd be surprised with the results.
Here's another question. Are women afraid of commitment?
I think with women, it's not that they're afraid of commitment. I think that women they don't want to trade off that freedom and that free attention. And it's like, at this point, it's like a drug. Like women, especially attractive women, for them to give up like endless free attention. And just think about it, all the DMs, the likes, the single lifestyle. I think that's the thing they don't want to trade off because to them at this point, it's like a drug. Like, I'm an attractive woman. I could get endless amounts of attention. I could go out every day and guys hit on me and look at me and blah, blah, blah. So I think for women, it's like they're saying to themselves like, well, if I'm going to settle down, it better be with a top tier man.
Not many of those though, right?
That's literally the mentality they have.
Not many of those. And I'm seeing more and more. Forget about women in their 20s and 30s, but I'm seeing more women in their 40s and 50s being single and living that single life. But they want a relationship, but they don't want to give up the single life.
They don't want to trade it off.
So where is the in-between here? What do you really want, right? Do you actually want a guy to approach you? No, maybe not. Maybe they just want to keep living the single life.
I think that's a whole nother conversation. I think that a lot of women they just enjoy the single life so much that they don't want to trade it for a relationship, or they get into the relationship and then they end up cheating. But that's a whole nother story. So
for those women that are already in the relationship, they've gone through, the first few phases, the icebreakers, asking each other out, either man asking woman out or the woman asking the man out. They're deep into the relationship. Should a woman bend down to one knee and propose to a man for marriage?
That's an interesting one. Something, I think women should approach men, and I think from that point forward, men should lead from there. When it comes to marriage, if you're going to get married, I don't think women should propose to men. I think the woman's role is to show the man that she is marriage material. That's what she should do. You don't have to get on your knee and propose to a guy. I think that's already pushing it. That's a little crazy. I wouldn't want to see a picture. I wouldn't want to see a picture on Instagram of like a woman getting on her knee and proposing to me. But at very least, her role is they should date for a couple years and prove that she's a good person, that she's reliable, she's not a skank, she's not going to cheat and not make the guy's life hell, because he at the end of the day, when he does propose, he's also taking a massive risk. So,
well, with the whole marriage thing, again, we don't advocate for marriage, so not really going to get into it. I would say a long-standing relationship would be a benefit for both parties, because, again, you don't want any official paperwork, anybody in between your marriage.
It's crazy, right? All the risk is on the male side. No matter how, we could discuss this 10 different ways. The risk is always on the male side, so you can't really blame men when they kind of like back off a little bit, because like women are acting kind of crazy. We're not going to be cold approaching. We're not going to be proposing, and we're not going to be definitely not chasing.
She mentioned toxic masculinity. People's idea of manliness perpetuates domination, aggression, pressures for men to behave in a certain way. Is it toxic masculinity, or is it men just being what they're supposed to be? Leaders, confident, assertive, taking charge, doing what they're supposed to do.
I always believe there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. I think it's either you're masculine or you're not masculine. Women like to pick and choose which side of the masculinity they like. So we know that women are attracted to masculine men, tattoos, muscles, beard, stocky, big shoulders, chiseled chin. We know that, right? Until she realizes that masculine man also is sometimes going to get aggressive. He's going to throw stuff, get loud, yell at her, put her in her place. So again, when women say toxic masculinity, that's just them again trying to punish men for being the way they are. That's it. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. Like men don't get to choose which side of their masculinity they display. It's either you're masculine or you aren't.
It's just a man being a man.
It's just a man being a man.
There's no toxic masculinity. It's a man being a man, and that's it. Case closed. I don't know why women bring up toxic masculinity. Like,
look, it's a masculine man, but he controls himself. Like,
it's a problem for a man to be a man. Oh, really? Give me a fucking break.
Imagine like some badass big ass guy with tattoos, a beard, and like, but he's very well mannered. Like, did you just?
And that's why I can get into this stat here. Pew Research study says that 63% of men aged 18 to 29 report being single. Who can blame them when they have difficulty going up to women that they can almost guarantee will turn them away? Tell them they're a creep. Tell them that they don't want to be harassed or be bothered. This is astonishing. It's unfathomable to see. This statistic is from 2023, about a year ago. We're in 2024. I can't imagine how much higher the percentage is on that.
Whether or not women like to hear it, whether or not they agree with what we're saying, we are telling you the truth. This is the unfiltered truth of what we're telling you. So take it for what it is, because we're just telling you a male point of view on this.
When you're dealing with the podcast, guys, we're going to let you know. We're going to keep it real with you. So on that note, we are going to wrap up. Would you like to add any last quick statement?
That's pretty much it. Women, you better start learning to approach, because you're going to ruin dating for everybody.
Hey, women, ask men out, because that's going to be your chance to lock in a successful relationship in the future. So
you got to practice those pickup lines.
Damn right. On that note, subscribe to the channel. A surprise is coming. Do you want it or not? Let's get that surprise to everybody. Subscribe to the channel. Get us to 1,000 subscribers, and we'll see you next time.